Hello, 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 powerful people. Welcome to your Nonprofit Power, where we dig into and get real about all things nonprofit leadership. How to help you create more money, more mission, and more peace of mind along your important journey of making this world a better place. I'm Amy Fazio, and I'm a nonprofit strategist. I'm a speaker, and I created the Magnify Your Mission system to help nonprofit leaders cut through the busy work so that you can focus on the real needle movers to make your mission move without the burnout. We want to help you avoid the burnout in your important work. So thanks for being here with me today. This week of Your Nonprofit Power, this episode is really special to me. You know that we have guests on the show to talk about all aspects of nonprofit leadership. This week, we're talking about 3 ways to engage your community. And as most of you know, many of you know, community building and community engagement is what I like to think of as my secret sauce. You know, I'm Italian, so it's all in the sauce. And so community engagement and building a tsunami of social and community support is what I think is the difference of struggling to make your mission happen versus stepping into your power as a community leader and driving your vision forward. Embracing your role as a facilitator and convener of people who care about making the change you want to see in the world. So today we're going to talk about the 3 ways that I help folks in the Magnify Your Mission system engage their community, but also as a professor of community and civic engagement. What am I telling my students in the classroom of how to be an engaged and active participant in their communities? It got me thinking. This is exactly what we want people in our community that are thinking about these things. We want to reach them and give them an opportunity to choose us, to choose our nonprofit, to get involved. So I wanted to break it down for you that these are how the academics, the scientists talk about, are you an engaged citizen or community member? Because there's gold in here. There's relationship building gold in these 3 ways to engage your community. And I want to make sure that you have the plan in place to capitalize on all 3 of these, right? Are you firing on all the Magnify Your Mission cylinders, so to speak? And today is a special day here. So I love talking about this special topic of community engagement on a day that is really special to me each and every year. You may know I am a school board member. I'm an elected school board member here in our hometown in Western rural Pennsylvania. I just wrote a blog about our community just last week, the softball effect. So if you haven't checked that out, check out the episode on my YouTube channel. It's a podcast topic as well as a blog about community organizing at this very basic level, this community grassroots level of youth sports. And I'm calling this movement the softball effect because everything can boil down to very simple steps and processes, no matter how big you get. You want to remember that community building is both an art and a science. And so getting involved in my community has always been important to me. And the softball effect is a great story to check out about, how you can apply the Magnify Your Mission principles to your project, the things that are important to you. But today, as an elected school board member, today is important to me, is special to me every year because it's graduation day. It's graduation day for a lot of towns here in Western Pennsylvania, super early, right? You can almost feel the parental panic set in as we're trying to figure out what we're supposed to do with these kids all summer. Where are our babysitters and our partners in raising our kids going? God forbid they take the summer off. So a shout out to our teachers who have been surviving not just this week, but the whole year. And thank you for, helping create strong communities by raising decent human beings. I appreciate and applaud your help in that. Nice. Kelly, good to see you. The softball effect. Yes. Kelly is, I love it. Thanks for your help in putting together these ideas too, Kel, because I think if we can boil down community engagement in simple terms and not make it heady or complicated, We can really help our fundraisers and our nonprofit executives understand that having a solid plan to get your community involved in between fundraisers is the path to scaling your organization, not by doing more work, but by doing it smarter. So we want to break down the art and the science of community building. And I thought talking about these 3 ways of thinking about community engagement will be super helpful for you. Maybe you're heading into strategic planning. Maybe you're a July 1 fiscal year start. Maybe you're looking at toward the end of the year. Make sure you're building community engagement into your strategic plan. It's everything. It's everything. What is it? Let's start with that. What the heck are we talking about? Because we do talk about community engagement a lot in the nonprofit sector, right? It's how do I grow my audience? How do I get more donors? How do I put more people in my database? How do I meet people, right? But when is the board going to give me access to their Rolodex? We hear all that a lot because that's all building your community in my mind. So community engagement, simply put, if you were to Google or if you were to look up the definition, is finding ways to partner with members of your community to make change. And there's a debate in this that is it necessarily banding together to make change for the good? That's a debate. That's a debate. But it is about banding together to make change. And we see examples of this throughout functioning democracies. We work together in association around things we care about because it's not just up to the government to solve, but it's up to us to decide how we want our communities to look. So, the academics got a hold of this for the last 50 or 60 years and started really driving this engagement conversation, breaking it down. And if anyone can take fun out of anything, it's academia. So I like to put the party back into engagement, but first we really do have to understand engagement and why it's helpful for us to think about it a little bit more scientifically. Because we often mistake it for, well, face-to-face, I know how to build relationships. And while that's true, it's still important to think about how you're doing that and how can we carbon copy you? How can we help automate parts of that? That is the path to scaling up. If everything is too face-to-face, it is going to be hard to grow quickly. So community engagement is this process of, hey, finding the people that care like you do and bringing them together about taking action. And that is really critical, the taking action part when we look at community and civic engagement. So let's dig in. Let's talk about community engagement. This is a topic that we cover extensively in the Magnify Your Mission system and in the Magnify Your Mission program. Just last week on the podcast, we had client and friend Andrea, who is the head of Duo Project, doing some amazing global community engagement. She's running a global mission. And so we look at it from, the softball effect of local youth sports all the way to running a global movement. We've got to understand what are those things that draw people to us? How do we keep them engaged with us so that they become loyal, fierce supporters of our work? That is a critical step in growing, is first really securing the people who care and finding a home for them. And then we can invite others to join the party, as we like to say. So community engagement is simply that. And the 3 types of engagement are, one, what we term civic engagement. And this is cool. And this is cool to, Western democracies. When I was getting my master's in political science, studying social change and social movements, civic engagement, this idea that people come together voluntarily to solve problems in their communities, whether it's a cleanup project or a playground or volunteering for a nonprofit or donating, raising money collectively for a cause you care about, or businesses supporting a local youth team. Those are all really civic, grassroots, relationship-focused forms of civic engagement. But what is really special about that, and quite frankly, that we do see in Western democracies a lot, is it's this voluntary effort. It's this voluntary effort that, while we believe in individualism, right, we know that the power is with the people. And power is something we don't talk a lot about, but it's critical when you're looking at relationships. And when you're trying to understand your nonprofit power, you have to think about, what is power? Where does it come from? And what do I want to use it for? because ignoring it or feeling too shy or humble to talk about where is my power isn't just a disservice to you, in my opinion, it's a disservice to your mission because you're just not moving as quickly as you can. So, in creating your plan for community engagement, there is a leadership process of looking at where your power is, your brand position. What's unique about you? What's special? What would be different if you didn't exist? We really want to get honest and clear about that power. And then we want to really embrace our role as a leader in exercising that power on behalf of the people we represent. And this is what we call advocacy. So, civic engagement is really important because it's capitalizing on this notion and commitment that we see of people wanting to join together to make a positive difference in the world. The biggest challenge I see in nonprofits with civic engagement is not providing clear opportunities for people to do this. So it comes down to your call to action. Kelly and I are working on some really cool projects with a few folks right now in building out their ambassador program. So a really clean campaign to drive your civic engagement, to drive your volunteerism, people want to help. And if you say, that's so nice, we don't need anything from you but your donation once a year, it's the Italian in me. They want to bring something. You're not going to stop them. Give them a job to do. Make them feel like their role is truly being seen and heard and is important. And when you say you don't need to help with the dishes or don't worry about that, I boil everything down to a party, but it reminds me that this really is about truly connecting with people. Digital community building or having a gala. It's not about the fundraising. The fundraising simply happens as a result of true relationships, right? So I always like to remind myself, what would it feel like in this situation if this was at my house or if this was at a party, or how would that person feel coming into our universe? What would that feel like if this was simply just a party? So that's civic engagement. Giving people an opportunity to learn more or to do more is critical. It's a really important step in inviting them into your universe. So it's a way to get them, get their email address, to get to know them a little bit better. It can be creating an ambassador program. It can simply be surveying your community through fun ways, through your social media strategy. And your message, but really clear on you have something for them to do, to learn about, to share on social media, to show up and help. But we want to be clear that people want to help, and if we don't build out the ways for them to help, not just run around like I need help, nobody's helping, that is not an effective way to get help. You have to really think about what are those calls to action that aren't changing, but that we can roll out as needed to remind folks that, yes, we need you. You're part of our people. You are our tribe. You're part of our tribe. We have found our people. Okay, so civic engagement, kind of bread and butter of nonprofits. This is where the nonprofit space lives. In the US, we have 1.5 million nonprofits. In the UK, it's something like 150,000. So the US has a really special sweet spot for that coming together around civic relationships to make a difference. Don't forget that. That's special. That's special. Special about a lot of our communities out there. But I want to remind us of that. Second is the electoral process of engagement. So that means engaging your elected officials. Now, this doesn't mean that you're lobbying, and it doesn't mean you're going to put your EIN at risk. But it does mean that you recognize that the political structure that we're operating in directly affects our success one way or another. What do I mean by that? So I like to say that I have a master's in political science, and what I learned most of all is how to follow the money. It's really what's made me a good fundraiser more than anything, because I can see trends of where people are putting their priorities and their money, and if we can fit into that vision, we have a compelling case. I often work with clients who just need my help in government funding. They just want to learn more about government funding. And so the electoral process starts very simply with making sure that, you're roughly 15 elected officials that are representing you on one level or another are in your database, that they know you exist, that you know they exist. I don't want you to become an expert in politics or have to watch the news 24/7. But these people are making major decisions, financial and social decisions for your community. So you need to know who they are. So start with a list of who's representing us at the local, municipal level, the county level, the state level, the federal level. And let's just figure out who those folks are and get them in our database. Now, electoral doesn't mean you're going to start busting open government funding, and not all missions are right for government funding, right? Because it goes back to why they care, why it helps them do their job. And believe me, we definitely help them do their job. So electoral is a really important part of the engagement process. We're going to have a speaker next month that is going to give you a compelling case of why it's an important part of the puzzle, of why people are going to invest more seriously into your mission. Without you having to become an expert in politics and certainly not lobbying, you need to understand that government funding moves in different ways. And if you aren't building a relationship there, you are taking yourself out of the game of moving money. Some of this money is quite easy money. Some of it's very long and laborious and bureaucratic. That's not usually my cup of tea, but there are folks that are excellent at filling out RFPs and grants for government funding. And if you are eligible for that, that's a great part of your plan. But there's other government money. There's government money that's much more flexible and much more nimble. And you need to be smack in the middle of the way of that funding when it busts open. So the 3 ways to engage your community starts with shoring up our civic engagement, our volunteer opportunities, our ambassador programs, and our calls to action are clear. The second is electoral, where we are at least considering a bite-sized step in having our hand in the political arena, because these folks are making decisions for us and we can help them look good and they can help us fuel the change we want to see. The third component of engagement that I wanted to talk about today is public voice. So it's civic engagement through associations and volunteerism. It's electoral by working with our elected officials and understanding policy and government spending has a lot to do with what we do. And then finally, the public voice, the civil disobedience, right? The way that we have actually created real change in this world over time is through peaceful civil disobedience, coming together to voice a new vision of what we want to see, to change the systems that are currently in place, to be disruptors. And of course, this harkens back to Thoreau and civil disobedience. And we've seen it with peaceful movements looking to Gandhi in India or MLK here in the civil rights movement, leading the civil rights movement. These were peaceful movements to drive change. We need to look and learn at how they did that, how they brought people together, kept them engaged over decades, in years and years and decades to drive change. Keeping people invested and hopeful and focused. We want to make sure that we're galvanizing our people because as community leaders, they're counting on us to be their voice, not just fix a problem, not just provide a service, but to be the voice of what do we really want this thing to look like? We don't just want to feed the hungry. We want to end food scarcity, right? We want to provide equal opportunity. That's systems change. So programmatically, we're helping and we're providing and we're meeting the needs on the ground. How does this link to the bigger movement of the systems change that we're a part of? And who else is a part of that movement? One of my best examples of using our public voice really comes through being so clear and intentional that you are more comfortable taking risks. So I love using this example of a client working in the housing industry, and really exciting progress on setting up a 24/7 men's shelter here in my community. Marie Timpano and TCBC, I want to give a lot of credit to Kelly and the team who are ready to celebrate the groundbreaking of the new 24/7 men's shelter on Monday. So this has been years in the works, and I'm really proud of these guys, and excited to celebrate what was years of work. And a lot of that work really started to accelerate a few years ago when the leader at TCBC decided that the one-on-one conversations, moving through the process, was too slow and was unethical and was an assault on the mission of making sure that everyone in Beaver County had safe, affordable housing options. And owning the power in that it's up to us to do something about it, not just run our mission, but say, hey guys, as a community, what do we think is right here? What do we want to see happen? And that public voice started to move when Kelly and the team worked on a press release. We all put our heads together to say, what do we want the community to know about this issue? And the press release simply stated, we do not have a 24/7 men's shelter. And on any given night, 30 people are sleeping without a safe place to be. And this was during a pandemic as well. What does the community think about this? What does the community want to see happen for our homeless population? How is this a reflection on our values as a collective? And it started a community conversation, and it started a great messaging campaign, but it also got picked up by government funders up the chain that said, hey, we have some money in that area for this kind of project. What's happening? I guess nothing is happening with that. And it alerted to just kind of invite them to come and see what was happening. And within a short period of time, a grant opened up, coincidentally, that allowed TCBC to actively go after it and say, we are the best organization positioned to drive the building of this project and make sure that the men in Beaver County have safe, affordable housing options in emergency situations and long term. And it started with the belief that they were the right people for the job. We can be collaborative and we can be collective, but we can also own our power. And I just thought that was a beautiful example of that leader deciding that we are best positioned to do this, and then using the community to say, but it's not just up to us. We're happy to help lead, but what is it you want to see? Because this is on all of us. And it transferred the responsibility of solving housing crisis, not to one organization, not to elected officials, not to the housing insecure, but to all of us. It transferred the responsibility to all of us. And using your public voice and finding people who care is a powerful tool in engagement. So these three ways of engaging your community are a little bit both theoretical with some practical tips in here. But you have to be thinking about all three buckets of engagement. And if you need help with this, we're here to help. You want to be thinking about those calls to action around civic engagement, volunteerism, how to learn more, how to help share the news on social media, how to have a house party to support our work. You have to have a plan for electoral processes and engagement. Looking to understand who your elected officials are, what do they care about, how can you help them be successful so that you can learn how they can help you be successful. That's what partnership's really all about. And then third, how do you serve your community of donors, your strategic partners, the people rooting for you to succeed? How do you best represent them in creating the big change they want to see, right? They don't always just want to fix a roof or fund a program. They want to solve housing crisis. They want to create a more equal, just society. They want people to have a chance to fix their lives, to build better lives for themselves and for future generations. Your mission and your role is so much bigger than in fundraising. But the good news is, with a strong community engagement plan and game plan, you're going to see people step up in new ways. And is this is the foundation to creating a simple and stress-free, a sustainable fundraising model, right? It's not about doing more fundraisers. It's not about if I only had 500 more people in my database. If your message is off, if opportunities to get involved are fuzzy, if you're not firing on all cylinders, you're going to leave money on the table. The money is in the relationships. So the good news is having a strong community engagement strategy will help everything else get easier. Everything. It'll help you get those meetings easier with elected officials or foundations. It'll help you get in the door of companies and corporations. It'll help you show your track record and your credibility among your individual donors and your major donors. We've got to give a path for people to help us make a difference, and your engagement game is just that. So when you're building out your communications plan, your fundraising plan, make sure you're thinking about how are we keeping people engaged and staying in touch in between fundraisers, in between campaigns. I used to knock doors. When I ran for office, we knocked tons and tons of doors. I knocked 8,000 doors in 9 months with my team. And it's powerful. I mean, face-to-face connection is powerful. And it's not scalable, especially if you're running a global movement. So we need to take that face-to-face exchange and learn how to do it in a more nimble, flexible way. And I think breaking down these 3 types of engagement is a really important thing to think about. What are you doing well? What engagement is working well for you? I would love to hear, what is your favorite engagement strategy outside of fundraising that keeps people super excited about being part of your community, that has them choosing you over a competitor? We have to be asking these hard questions if we want to create that sustainability, to have some ease with our fundraising and engagement. So this is what I go over. We spend time in every one of these throughout the semester with my students, looking at what are the different types of civic engagement. What does electoral engagement look like? Understanding how government works, how to predict funding priorities coming down the pike, and the power of peaceful social movements that drive meaningful change. Using our public voice to drive a petition or boycotts, having a rally. I know that Andrea is working, our guest from last week who runs Duo Project, an important mission to end an awful tradition of eating dogs and cats in some remote rural areas in China. She wants to end this cruel practice. And she needs a global voice to support Chinese on the ground in China to help them lead that change. And it's firing on all cylinders. It's about changing policies and involving elected officials, making it attractive to them. It's about helping individuals learning the power of and love that pets give us. It's about engaging the global community, bringing attention and spotlight to the issue. And we build these strategies out one at a time to maximize fundraising, to strengthen our voice so that we can bring even more people in. So we're going to help you break down your community engagement plan, but it's got to go beyond the thank you notes. So often I hear people say, well, we're successful at raising money because I write personal thank you notes every Friday. And because I wrote one, we got a $25,000 check. Listen, write the thank you notes. That's the right thing to do. But it's not where your power is. That's giving away your power to a thank you note. Your power is in the work you're doing, the accomplishments you've had, and the vision you have moving forward. The thank you note is a nice touch point, but they're investing in your plan and your capability of getting it done with or without that thank you note. Lean on that message. Go deeper with your engagement. Use that thank you as an opportunity to brief them on your strategy moving forward. That's going to be the next level of engagement for you. So I'm glad that's working for you. Keep up those thank you notes. But let's go deeper in that engagement. Let me know in the comments, how do you engage your community in between fundraisers? What do you do on social media, in your email, face to face? Is it a little bit haphazard, a little bit random, or do you have a nuts and bolts strategy so that you can go back and replicate and create the plan that's going to work for you versus you chasing down the next set of people interested in your mission? We don't want that for you. No more chasing. We want you leaning into your nonprofit power. So thank you for joining me today to talk about community engagement. We're going to be talking about this all month in the Magnify Your Mission Mastermind. That's my program. If you're interested in learning more about that, take a look at my website, amyfazio.com. Check out past episodes of Your Nonprofit Power and take the quiz. What type of fundraiser are you? It goes well beyond fundraising and really becomes a leadership tool. So take the quiz. And I'll see you on the next episode of Your Nonprofit Power. In the meantime, stay in your nonprofit power. And remember, while changing the world is hard, fundraising doesn't have to be with your community engagement game. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time.